Ahoy, hello, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another night of the LCO. It's day 3 of 6 tally, and we're so keen for the final lower bracket series going on tonight. Oh, we've already had a bit of a journey, Tally, and we're getting so close to a little bit more, but it's going to be a big night.
Yeah, definitely. This is the culmination of our lower bracket. We finally get to see who's going to be able to go for that last spot going into the, versus the loser of Bliss versus Ground Zero. So I'm excited to what it's going to look like and what our games will look like tonight.
Well, talking about looking, there's one thing that we all have to look into. It is going to see the finals at Fortress in Sydney. Don't forget to type in the code. It is !watch party in chat right now to find out more information. But that is going to be a hoot and a half, Skimmy. A hoot and a half.
Yeah, look, if you're living in Sydney, you get to live your best life by seeing it all prime time in a location with your mates. Yeah, ready to rock and roll in a fantastic facility. So obviously we can't be there. Would be ideal, but look, you can see us on the big screen. You can't get much better than that.
Look, and that's always nice. Get to hear our blaring voices through some big speakers, get that cinematic effect. It's always good. But we do need to say our thanks and goodbyes to some teams that were sadly knocked out yesterday. They had a fantastic run. I believe, who was it? I've actually completely spaced Skimmy. It was Fury and Direwolves. I nailed it. See, I didn't forget. Perfect. Just had a mental slip. Let's have a quick little bumper in to show what these teams pulled off this series and thank them all so much for joining us. Let's have a quick look.
It's a very big mistake. The lights go out. That guarantees the Baron. There is no contest. Sticks with the focus. Mayfun's going to lock him in place with that theory. He hit the claims, but it's too little, too late. He's even dead before the tether chain connects. It does not matter. Doraemon running for the hills like we've seen literally 30 seconds prior, and it is desperation beyond belief now. Yeah, Doraemon's going for the all-in for the kill. 2 big CCs led by the tanks. Lambs will spite his clutch. 3 members inside it there for the heal, but I'm going to munch and say thank you very much. We'll take that one as well. Hex Flash has done enough. There is the wallbox for him to regen as Jovi. Of course it's always Jovi.
We asked for off-meta strategies. We got drink water, eat cheese cubes, and play the most broken champs in the meta.
I like it.
Gotta see a no chance. What are they doing?
No chance.
Had the flash pulverize, decides not to use it. Someone is still working for that mega. He can't find it just yet. Hops,
Destiny
jumps inside the pit. Destiny is the focus right now, and he's still going to try and fall on down. Doesn't really matter. But Ray's untouched in the backline. Sub out 180 carry for the other. Flash on forward, try to hit Finder, but die because the chirp way has chopped you in place. And they'll get the Baron, and they'll get a very nice ace. Rhythm goes out, no stun, just a slow. Destiny's the focus. Dreku jumps in, counteracts it, takes down Nox. Prey's the recipient of that killing blow. Dreku's looking to try and soak up as much as he can, but Prey goes in as a one-man army. Finder tries to assist, but he's dead before the fight really kicks off. And Destiny shows, I'm a support player, but I've got hands, and they still work. There's the triple. Give him more. Always excited. Hang on, yeah, always excited. Really keen for the games that are amongst us today. Some absolute bangers in the lower bracket.
I still got mind blown by those sunnies, man. Like, even second day, I'm still like, oh man, he got me so good with that. It was beautiful. But no, big thank you again to Fury and Direwolves for being such outstanding teams, really putting the pedal to the metal towards the end there and giving us some showings as well. But let's have a look at the brackets as they sit after these 2 fantastic teams have sadly left us. And we can see we are now in the lower bracket, round 2, which is Antic versus Ion, which is tonight. But we've still got Ground Zero and Team Bliss in the upper bracket final that you will get to see tomorrow. But let's have a quick look at tonight's schedule, which is that Antic versus Ion tally, and it's going to be a pretty big series. This is make or break.
Yeah, this is absolutely make or break. This is the end of your season pretty much if you aren't able to secure the win tonight, and a lot on the line, a lot of pressure to come towards these teams, and I think that getting in these extra games is so important. We see that Antic as a roster has already played like the most games out of every single team in the playoffs so far, and that's just such a big thing to have as a team.
Well, it's kind of interesting to see. It's like we've seen star performances from both like junglers, like Jovi as well in this mid lane. Like both teams feel quite stacked, or at least players that can stand out and stand among the rest. So we'll have to see how these guys are going to fare. But Skimmy, I don't want to put you on the spot, but any big predictions, any big plays that we might see? Are you thinking a Penta is on the cards for Destiny?
Well, what I'm thinking is that we are going to have at least 2 games here tonight, Pike. It's a best of 3, so we're guaranteed that much. Anything more would be a blessing. Certainly would be a blessing. I would love to see both Styx and Destiny both showcase why they deserve to actually get the Ezreal. 18 kills is the number to beat. Pentakill would be the icing on the cake. Yeah, let's see what happens, eh?
That's all I want. I've been dreaming of it. I've been waiting, but that's okay because hold on. I've been looking around, guys, and wait, we got another conundrum because we're geoguessing right now. Let's have a look at this conundrum.
Is today the day luck's with you? Is it now your life could renew? Then you must play the game, cause I have to proclaim life's a game of chance.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is our champion conundrum. It is GeoGuessr, and we're all convinced that Tally's just going to clean up real hard on this one. But you know what? We might surprise him a little bit. We might surprise you even. But the goal is to guess where we are on the map. So let's just jump straight into it, lads, and look at the very first one.
I know it.
That's topside jungle.
This is top side between tier 1 and tier 2.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
red.
bot lane.
Nailed it.
I'm up.
Yeah, easy.
Easy.
That's too
All
hard.
3 points.
You know how
Wrap
you
it up.
know?
End the show.
You know how you know? Because look at where the trees are located. Just saying. Let's jump to the next one because honestly,
sure.
I was pretty sure. Like that's all we have to leave it at. All right, that is top side blue. No,
This is.
that looks like. Oh, where is that?
Dude, I actually have no idea. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I don't look at the map.
Flipped?
This is why I get ganked so much.
I'm thinking so hard right now.
It's in the jungle. That's all you gotta know.
I'm gonna
looks
say
like there's water there.
blue side, right near top tower, in the middle
I'm
of the
going to
jungle.
say this is mid next to the river.
I don't know. Chicken wall or something.
Chicken wall. All right, let's have
It's
a quick
too
look
fat.
at where this is. And it was. Oh, what? Okay. Ooh,
Damn, it was bot next to the river. I swear like I saw water and it just baited me.
you know what? My whole trees theory, absolute tomfoolery. I'll give you that now. Let's look at the next one, see where it is. Oh. What camp is that?
Bot lane? Bot lane?
Yeah, that's bot lane
alcove.
alcove. That's alcove for sure.
I mean, it has to be.
Yeah. We nailed it.
Right, baby, that's right.
That's how we do. That's how we do. Now they're getting too easy. They need to challenge us. We asked for the changes, but no, that's what the top side.
This is
bush,
the bush next
pixel
to the inner
bush.
tower.
Yeah,
This is the LPL bush.
yeah. That's a good one. That threw me for a second. Yeah, nice.
That's the int bush. Everyone knows.
That's where I hide if ever I'm split pushing, and then I'll still get killed. So that's fine. Let's have a look at one more. Oh, it's definitely top side.
Is this the first wall coming out of blue side base on the left? To the left of the inner tower?
Ooh.
This is...
I have a feeling this is sort of like. I have a
think
feeling
this
this
is
is
the
mid
mid
lane.
Yes.
This is mid between tier 2 and tier 3.
Yeah,
I can't decide if it's red side or blue side.
I think it's
Blue
right.
side. I think it's blue side. Maybe red side? Blue side? Red side?
Oh,
Damn.
oh, damn. That's pretty
At
good.
general vicinity, we'll give ourselves like a half point.
Half points go. We got one more to go. Let's get through this final one. See if who can just nail it on the head. Easy success.
Oh, this
What
is
the
Gromp.
hell?
Red side Gromp.
Yes. The
Red side
curve with
grump.
the rune stones.
That makes a lot of sense. I can
Um,
imagine a frog being there. Ah, beauty tally. You're all over it, mate. You're all
This
over
was hard. I realized
was
I
hard.
don't look at the map. I don't pay attention. Also, to be fair, I play League in low settings, so
Me too.
this
it.
all looks like dirt to me.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
one blur, bro.
No textures, no nothing. It's just
Yeah,
pixels,
nothing.
just straight big pixel.
It's
Well,
all
that
the
was
same
kind of
colour.
fun though. I think I'll say we were all very successful. I think we all got at least like 2 or 3 a piece in that one. Like that was pretty good. So big round of applause for everyone. Big round of applause for both of you. Well done. Little fairy claps. Not too bad.
Skimmy's
Let's go
impressive.
to a break as we get ready for the first and only series tonight. It is going to be Antic versus Ion. The 2 purple teams looking fierce, looking dangerous. Who's going to make it through the next series? We'll have to find out. So we'll see you there.
I met her by the old school gates and whoa, 10 over 10. Her curves are a distraction. Whoa, but she helped me with my fractions. She looks amazing in a pencil skirt. I've got a tattoo of her under my school shirt. Whoa, she's good for me. She's good for me. She's the mom of my best friend. She's so hot I can't pretend. She teaches math, but I wish she was my girlfriend. Yeah, she's 10 over 10.
Here's the reason that Kevy's after becomes the Varus. Forced out of the stopwatch, it's carnage! Only triple happening here is for Python. Oh, it's do or die!
And we are back once again to check out these phenomenal teams sitting in the final lower bracket series. Let's jump into the very first one. It has to be Antic. These are monsters. Destiny. Feeling so good. 18 kills last night. Almost too many to count. Luckily, I can count up to 20, which is always handy. But Raze as well. Looking so good. Foreigner, Zoranus, and Draku. Team looks fairly unstoppable. So I'm excited to see what they're going to pull out. But they are up against a formidable foe. It is Ion, this team that has pulled back, been able to take fights and take a little bit more. Game's been a little bit shaky there, Skinny, but I think they've been giving quite a lot more of a showing for us and bring out to pull out some pocket picks that Jovi might feel a little bit more comfortable on.
Well, that's exactly true. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, he got a lot of his champions done away in that last series into the direwolves, forced him onto the Azir, didn't look too comfortable. And then in the second game, a lot of attention was thrown towards him in the mid lane to put him behind. And then we did see a bit of a draft, right, where you've gone for that traditional Nidalee Renekton combo. You didn't snowball early. It then felt pretty weak, and there really is no room for error. And I think there's even more going to be exemplified tonight. Up against a team like Antic, you really cannot afford to make a mistake. You look at their last series, it was such a one-sided affair. Both those games done within an hour. I mean, the second game done in 16 minutes. That then became a record at the time. So really, you're hoping that Ion have kicked it up a few gears whilst Antic have made some roster swaps. You're hoping that Ion have had enough practice, especially during this lower bracket run.
That's it, right? Like, I think they have sort of proven themselves a little bit. They got taken to the third game last night. It's the first third game we've seen in a hot minute up against Direwolves. Let's see what Antic can be able to do and bring to that, because like you said, if they're banning out Jovi this whole time, like, it really makes it pretty hard. So Tally, we're going to look at this quick head-to-head graphic. Break it down a little bit for us.
Yeah, I think it's quite telling that both these teams had these very dominating performances yesterday, but we're still seeing them falling behind in the goal differential at 15. But there's quite that different priority when it comes to the Herald from both sides. We see that Antic is doing that gold heavy, plate heavy, experience heavy playstyle. They're not really going for the objectives as much as we do see from Ion. And I just think that goes to show Ion, very objective focused team. They're always going to be looking to group up, using the kills they garner in early game to get objectives, whereas Antic always about maximizing gold because they are playing carries in multiple roles, and this is a different look that we're seeing from Antic in playoffs so far. Foreigner is playing mages every single game, and these teams aren't respect banning it, and they're having so much success, and might see a different look tonight if Ion do not want to deal with the one that is coming out of Foreigner consistently.
Look, I'm pretty curious to see how it's going to look, because you can also see those bans as well. Ivern, you just have to take it off the board, right? Like, Antic, if you give this Ivern over, it's all these 80 carry players, Raze, Destiny, they're just going to have an absolute field day too. So I'm liking that they've just been a bit more target banning specific things. That Rumble too, you have to be so careful of. But I'm excited to see it. Again, I'm really sad that we're not seeing Jovi on the Yone. He's popped off that many times that I just want to see it. So I'm expecting that to be banned out too. But would you like to see Jovi on something a little bit different, Skimmy? I think the big part for that is he's been forced onto like the Azir. Is there another champion you might want to consider?
What I'd like to see if he does have other 80 carries or even 80 champions full stop that he can bring to the table, right? Obviously, we saw Raze last night be forced to go into the Lucian. It felt pretty rough in those early stages into the Tristana. But as soon as it went into those lane deployments, that's when Antic really came into their own right. They were able to make sure that the Tristana was a null factor. And it brings into question, right, what are we actually going to get from that mid lane matchup? Because you'd imagine it's probably going to be a cookie Tristana for one game, then probably denied the rest of the series. And that's when it's going to be, we're digging deep with different champions, or we're on both ends actually just having the junglers target and camp that mid lane. So, yeah, nothing in particular. I am very curious, though, to see just how much depth and diversity there is there.
Yeah, well, let's have a quick look at some damage share graphs that we've got set up for you, just to have a bit of a look at where these teams are definitely playing on. And again, we mentioned Jovi, this 30% damage share. He's really trying to pull this team together, get them moving, get some proactivity, but seems a little bit closer when it comes to Raze and Destiny too. That 27% is so nice, especially with 18 kills tally.
Yeah, and we see it's a much more, even spread, because I just think Antic are that team that, spread out the resources. They do play a lot more carries over the variety of their team. And, you did mention before what champions we did want to see coming out of Jovi, and I think an underrated one is that Talia we saw in the matchup last night when he was playing the Corki. He was ganking, he was counter-ganking, he was diving, he was running around the map the entire time. So if they're going to do that, put him on that Talia. So successful into these 80 carries already. You don't want to be jumping into the Pebbles as a Tristana or the Corki. Going to get that priority in mid lane anyway, because he's having so much success recently and feels like he's in form.
I think that's such a good champion to pick too, because a lot of the 80 carries that we've been seeing are those very hyper mobility sort of champs where they like to dash around, they like to move, throw those pebbles out, and you sort of nullify a lot of that team fight if it's placed well. So that could be a bit of a pocket pick for him. It depends if Jovi is so proficient on it and if he's going to play it. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think we can't ignore the AP junglers coming out as well. And I know you guys touched on it just before, but let's break it down a little bit more, because we've been seeing a lot of Lilia, a lot of Zyra, a lot of Brand. Are there any other champions in that mix tally that could come into action if they are banned out, if they've been focused?
I think I think the Brand, Karthus, and Zyra are standalone. They're like control mages, right? They function with a lot of comps, whereas, Lilia can be a solo AP champ, but it's so hard to play into teams that, you are forced to dive into. You are forced to be reliant on flash. Like we saw Nox last night playing that one against Nautilus. Never could get in. He pretty much was getting hooked and blown up all the time. That's why you got to be very afraid about picking that champion. We see the Amumu being a potential one. We've seen Morgana and Diana also being champions who can be counter picks or paired with something like a Yasuo or Yone in the mid lane. So there are a lot of options that are in the jungle pool right now. And, this is why Shern mentioned that you can't really ban them out, because there's just too many tools in the toolbox.
Yeah.
Too many tools. But the AD mid, I guess it was more sort of like for the other teams that we saw, like Chirp loved his on Fury, loved his sort of like AP mid laners. Are we potentially going to see some of those coming out, Skimmy? I think AD is just so strong, but would you like to see an AP mid laner?
Yeah, I still am a big fan. I mentioned it last night. I still think there's a world in which Sylas can find a fair bit of value, especially when you got Nautilus Leona every single game. Sylas with the Leona ultimate kind of just like half health chunks you with that solar flare. It's kind of crazy the scaling on that one, right? But just across the board, right? So many impactful ultimates. I mean, imagine if you're stealing away like a Zyra, a Brand ultimate. I mean, it's a paradise for a player like Jovi in particular, who wants to be so aggressive, just to either max their healing or max their wave clear and say, yeah, I'm roaming, or I really want to try and bully that 1v1 into Raze. So I think there's a lot of diversity, and I'd like to see, especially knowing that we're thinking Antic are the heavy favorites in this one, for Iron to say, we aren't all about these, particular champions, and that Jovi shouldn't be targeted anywhere near as hard as he was last night.
Well, fingers crossed. And to find out a little bit more is we actually have the man himself, Jovi, joining us on the desk to come have a quick chat about how he's holding up in the mid lane. Jovi, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm fine. And I will try hard to win today, maybe.
Oh, got to try hard for that win. Are we expecting some exciting gameplay out of Ion tonight?
Not sure.
Not sure. Antic, a bit of a formidable foe?
Sorry?
Oh, it's like, is Antic just one of this team you've been prepping for? Like, are you guys nervous heading into Antic?
Not very nervous. I think our prep pretty good, but whether it can work, just look the game.
Just about the game, Skimmy. Just about the game.
Yes. Well done, Jovi, making it here tonight. My question, What characters do you prefer? Do you prefer melee or do you prefer ranged?
Now I prefer range because when I play melee, like the opponent's jungle and the support just cover their range mid. It's like my tempo will behind, and when I want to trade, just someone behind him, and I maybe die or burn a lot of HP. That's very like painful for me.
Yes, it must feel good though to know that they think you're that good at the game in mid.
I think I'm good in mid.
That's why they gank you.
Yeah.
And yeah. So they want to gank me.
Yes.
Tally.
And just a easy question. I want to know: are you feeling confident for tonight's game?
Yeah. I feel confident and I want to talk to foreigner. I'm ready to win you.
Ooh. And can I also ask how many solo kills?
How many solo kills? I mean, my goal is not like solo kill race. I think he is really good AD player. But today he come to mid. I will show him why ADC player playing mid have some disadvantage.
Whoa.
Clip it.
Clip it.
I love it.
So good.
I love it.
Jovi, thank you so much for coming on, mate. Good luck in tonight's series.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Look, that's the confidence right there. That's what I've been waiting to hear, right? Like, we've been seeing all these AD carries mid lane, and Jovi's like calling it out, being like, nah, man, we've seen too much of this. It's time to put them back in their place and send them back bot lane. Because I like that confidence, Skimmy.
But I also found it fascinating the fact that, we've also been talking about what he looks like on the range carries as well as the melee carries, and he's echoed that himself, right? When he's playing things like the Yone, he wants to be aggressive. Suddenly, jungle support rock up, and he's like, this is not fair. So he can get away with it a little bit better, on that Tristana, on that Corki, and sort of any other champion along that conversation line, right? So, yeah, lots of great insight. And I'm really curious to see, what he has in store to actually try and counteract Raze.
Yeah, like, is there anything that comes to mind with that, Tally?
Nothing in particular is like, a GG counter to these 80 carries that we've seen so far. But I do think we're seeing the control mages pop up again. Stuff like the Orianna, I think the Syndra's a good answer as well. And, overseas, Talia, just this, champ who can neutralize lanes and then, start to play the team fights where creating space and creating opportunities for your other carries to do more damage just seems to be more important right now.
Yeah, I love that space. Space is so important. And there's one thing about space that I love is that you can fit the most comfortable chair of all time in said space, because we have Zoranus joining us on the call with said chair because it's almost too good. Mate, how are you feeling tonight?
Look, I'm feeling pretty good going into this one. Honestly, just like looking for a bit of a confident boost and momentum going into the next series.
Like, yeah, you guys looked pretty good last night, though. Like, so after that little boost that you got from that, you're feeling a little bit more excited and prepped for the rest of the split going forward?
Yeah, look, honestly, like, we're in the same position as last split, and the lower bracket really is a buff. And I'm looking forward to our next match as well.
Ooh, the buff, Skimmy. Getting buffed up.
Mate's already figured ahead. I love the confidence, always from Big Zoranus. Well, my question to you is, you got the most solo kills as a top laner right now. You've made myself and Tally very happy because you've brought back the Gnar, and we're like, thank God it's finally back in action. And other champions, because I know that you look to try and hover on things, be it like the Cassante or the Gragas, and go back to almost like the very boring stuff. How much spice can we get? Can we see like a cheeky Zeri? Can we get a little bit of Rumble back? Maybe a bit of Kennen again?
Well, I mean, Rumble's kind of banned every game, so it's kind of hard to play that one. I mean,
True.
we can see what we could do. I mean, any other champs you want to see?
Any other champions?
Ooh.
If there's a world in which you could somehow make Teemo viable again in that top lane, like honestly, boom.
I'll think about it.
I'll think about it.
And I mean, I guess I'll jump in there. You mentioned that the lower bracket is a buff, and I'm curious to, what do you think, playing all these extra best of series has really done for your team?
Look, I think playing on stage is quite different to scrims in terms of how people play and how disciplined everyone is. And it's just all about getting that confidence, like going through the motions, making sure people aren't nervous on stage when we actually do play. And once you've played so many best of series in a row, like it all comes naturally to you. Like you're doing everything just like it's like easy for you to like track some of the spells, like think about what objectives you want to play, and it's just good practice.
Can't wait to see you guys play tonight then.
I love that. It's experience in front of the camera. That's such a big thing. But now I've got one final question for you, Zoranus. What gear are you working with? Because you've got the best seat in the house. Do you have like the best mouse and keyboard in the house too? Like let's cheekily have a look.
Well, I have upgraded my mouse since and my keyboard, so I do actually have some gaming stuff. My mouse pad needs a bit of an upgrade though.
Oh, I have that one as well. I've got that.
Yeah, I think everyone's got
that
That's
one.
an OG, that one there. Yeah.
I love that, dude. I wanted to check this kit. I had to see it. But mate, thank you so much. I know that gear is going to serve you well. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
You don't have a chair that spectacular without the gear to back it
Thank
up.
you.
Just saying.
Well, I suppose like the biggest cope, right? When people lose, it's like, oh, I guess that guy's just got a better gaming chair than me, and it's just like, maybe not. Maybe
Not this time.
Not this time. Let's have a look at the past series, though, as we're getting ready and heading towards the first game of the night. Let's look at what these teams did in a previous life and tally. It's pretty big. Like we're seeing some interesting picks coming out again and a lot of plays.
I think the main thing to talk about when it comes to this matchup is the fact that they played so long ago. This is pretty much a completely different game to what we're seeing back then. It was all about that center tank support in the bot lane. We're not seeing Aphelios really being played anymore. There's no major control mages in the mid lane. They are starting to pop back up, but they've just been out of the meta for so long. And I think in particular the jungle has just looks completely different now. So this is a different game. This is a different look for both these junglers who really like to play those AD fighters, and now kind of being forced to adapt to the meta, play these mages. And we see some success happening for Antic right now, but still waiting to see what Ion do want to go going forward, because is it going to be that control mage in the bot lane that they played in that last series? Is it going to be continuing to adopt that style, and maybe that is what they believe is to be the best for them right now?
Big thing for me, though, is the fact that look at Foreigner's KDA in that game. It was 30, 6-1, and 24. Man was playing Jarvan and Viego, died once. How was that possible with those two champions when you've got to send it? If you're not sending on those champions, why not? I mean, that's what they're designed to do. So, yeah, for me, that's huge.
Yeah, well, let's have a quick look at something else that's huge, which is side select. I was going to bait you with that one, Skimmy. It was almost too easy. But blue side being picked up by Antic. Looking, again, very stock standard. We expect this team to most likely do it most favorable side. But at the same time, if you want to get your points stacking, as always, your Twitch channel points are just up there. Make sure you're supporting your favorite team, backing them as best you can, because I love it. I love to hear when Skimmy calls out who in Twitch chat's favoring the best team, because he always does such a good job of it. I want to hear it really good. I want to see some big numbers, though, Tally, for that one, which is always fun.
Same.
Yeah, it's always good. Hopefully we have our predictions as well. So let's have a look at what we're expecting from this series tonight. As okay, hold the phone. So, what the?
Well, look, I've gone really, really heavy-handed in every
Yeah.
I say, for me, the closest matchup for in my opinion, was Joby and Styx, just because they're off-rolled, Raze and Destiny in that position. But I think the amount of experience they have still lends me to believe they should be the better player in this matchup. As for Draku, has been around for such a long time, incredibly aggressive, really was a big support difference last night for him. And then based on the performance we saw in that last series, I've given Foreigner and Zoranus the edge as well there. So, whilst I know a lot of you boys are going a little bit more neutral, I'm pretty convinced that it's going to be a 2-0, and those would be the positions to determine it.
Yeah, Tally, what do you think? What are you breaking down?
I would say the mid and 80 were the major hard points for me to really break down here. I think that while I would say Raze is a really good player, I think that Jovi has been performing really well recently, but at the same time, we've seen those shaky games. We've seen those shaky performances from him. So very hard to favor either one, and that's why, you know, got to go for the cop-out neutral answer. The same with bot lane. You know, Destiny having a pop of performances recently, but it's very hard to go past an AD main, right? Especially in best of series, it's you always got to think about the familiarity with the overall, you know, scenarios in the game, and I think that's the same. And then top, I just think both these players are quite evenly matched when it comes to the micro skill, when it comes to the champion pools and what they really want to do. Both of them are not really players who get played to, but they also have, you know, very good isolated performances. So I just think that it's going to come down to that 1v1, and I really can't give it to either player right now.
Yeah. I do know I was pretty keen to go for the 202. I think Antic does have that next step of like wow factor that Ion still haven't really figured out, but the game's ready to go, guys. I'm going to say bon voyage, take a ship overseas, and I'll see you very soon as PCS is getting ready, but the game's going.
Let's load in then, as to only one series tonight. Could be a very quick one, could be a rather long affair. Let's figure it out as Antic kick off from the blue side. Much like we saw yesterday as well today, it's the case of you ban away the Ashe, you ban away the Sejuani, and then you force the case of, is it worth Nautilus first pick, which would seem pretty wild given that everything else is up and available.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, Ion bans against Antic are probably the 3 bans we're always going to see against this team. It just feels like you do not want to give them Rumble, you don't want to, apparently no one wants to give them Ivan, and Zyra just feels to be the apex jungler right now in the patch. I really like what Antic have done though, you know, they removed Hex Flash on Leona, which is the only really major engage support we've seen him play, right? So he's off that one. Dracu feels more comfortable on, you know, we've seen him drop down and play the Alistar when all those supports are banned, so completely comfortable in that scenario. The Sejuani is what they had the most success on in the jungle, so that one's also being removed, and then the Ashe for that lane presence being taken out if they do want to first pick that Ashe, the Ezreal. So that's a deny pick as well. Destiny's most comfortable AD carry, and the response coming out of Ion means that, you know, they swapped out that tank jungler. No Sedge, okay, we'll go down to Maokai. I think they still want to go for this, you know, mage in the bot lane scheme that they, you know, played before.
I believe so as well, but I kind of like this approach, right? Because last time we did see these two teams go against each other, it was the double carries in the jungle. Whilst it was a very different meta, I kind of like the fact that we aren't saying, I need to match you in the AP jungle clear department. I just need to be a threat. I need to have CC. I need to make sure that I can actually gank and interact with my laning partners, and that should be very good. And as you already touched on with the Leona, I think at the best of times, Hex Flash looked a little bit shaky on that Rakan performance. So it looked a little bit better on the Rel, but is there to look to try and put him in an uncomfortable spot. Second half of the ban phase then. Right out of that one, Iron say no nah. We discussed it. Like to see more of that champion, not to be today. And I'm sure we're then guessing what does Zoranus think is the best answer into this Cassante. Surely if there was ever a world in which you're thinking, you know, split pushing TF or Zeri, this would be it.
Yeah, the Ziggs being removed is a nice read by Antic. They did see how strong that one looked in past, and even though they do have champions at our range, the Ziggs, it's just a nice respect band to throw towards the bot side. I would like to see Antic go for that, you know, frontline match in the top side, just because we've seen this team draft, you know, the like multiple carries. This time they have the Karthus, the Ezreal, and the Corki. So if they do pick a carry in the top lane like Camille, if they do not pair it up with something like a Galio support, it's quite hard for, you know, the rest of the carries to walk up and do damage in these team fights, because, you know, that Maokai also is going to come out. They have to worry about Cassandra, you know, kidnapping some of these fights, and they just don't really have any enables on the team. They just have a lot of damage. So I would like to see, you know, an enabler pick in the top side of Antic to match the Cassandra, really bolster that front line, because they already have the carry threats on this team.
Look, they certainly do, and as much as I'd like to see it in this isolation for those, you know, individual matchups, it would be a case of too many chefs in the kitchen. Would be a little bit crowded there. It's going to be the Leona as well as the Nautilus band, so really making sure that any of those premier champions have been taken off the board and Dracu can, you know, flex his ability. But this is interesting, right? Varus has come out, received that massive rework where Lethality and that poke, really annoying style, has been pushed to the wayside. This is the first time we're going to see it in this new iteration.
Yeah, this is the, you know, we've all seen the Han Summit at Varus build, you know, the on-hit, Kraken, Winsus, going back to that very old high DPS Varus build. I think that it's a much better pick than, you know, Zeri. We saw how hard it was for 60 damage in that last Zeri game we saw him. And in this game in particular, he's outranged heavily by Karthus, by Ezreal, by Corki. So no real way of...
Whoa!
Whoa!
Destiny's playing Corki, I guess? No Ezreal for you.
Makes sense.
Dude, to your point, I agree though. I agree with the Varus being really strong because, I mean, if Ashe is taken away, what was usually the case, we need some engage from the bot lane, so here's that engage ultimate.
Yeah, and something to note, Skimmy, as well, is, you know, you look at Antic's comments like, okay, they have like what you could say the best AD carry, the best jungle, and the best mid laner, right? But then you look at Ion's comp, which is gone, but we'll talk about it. They have good carries, but also multiple enabling tools, right? They have Cassante to be that body for the front line. They have the Maokai to lock down members so Tristana can get those auto attacks and do damage. They have the Varasalt to, lock down even more members. So if any of these CCs do land on the 3 champs we've seen already draft, that's going to be death.
And I really like this approach from Iron, right? They're basically saying, yeah, we've got enough damage, but we need to make sure we have enough CC. We don't need to have too much coming from the jungle as like a balanced threat. Sure, I mean, Coley could still build the Leandries as the Maokai, sit on that one item and say, that's my job done, now I build tank, and maybe Frozen Heart, whatever it may be thereafter. But I sort of like the fact that they're going to say, we need to make sure that all of our lanes have interactions, that we can be strong during the laning phase, strong during those team fights. And when it comes to the macro and objectives, that's when the better teams start to truly excel, right? They're set up, those Baron dances and so on, all these ways to try and patch those holes and, give themselves the best chance to contest.
Yeah, and it's always a very scary thing to, if you are coming in as the lowest seed or the, not the favorite, it's hard to match the play style, right? You don't want to go band for band against their team comp. You want to do something different. You want to make sure that you do give yourself an edge in, whether it's going to be engage or some side lane or team fight, just whatever you want. I think that we have seen teams in the past try to match up to that playstyle that Ground Zero has shown over and over again and just not had success at it because they're so comfortable on it, and it's very that's the reason why they're the best team in the league right now, right? Because no one can really do what they're doing, and I think the case is you need to either find that counter or you need to just come in with a different approach completely. That's why people talk about, cheese strategies, about like level 1 invades. That's why Karthus is such a strong champion, because he is that level 1 champion. He is the champion who can walk in, especially with the Ezreal that they've already drafted, and if they do pick a support, minus the Alistar, whatever is left for Dracu, they can split the map in, and they can really deny any volatility that Iron creates in the early game.
And you sort of mentioned the other day as well, right, when we had that game, I believe it was like the Direwolf series, and it's a case of, yeah, sure, your champions win lane by lane, but then how does it actually function as a 5-man squad? And I think it's a bit of a trap very early on for some of these teams to be like, look, we've got the counter pick in all 3 lanes, we just win the game, right? But how does it function when we go to those Baron dances? How does it function when you're looking to try and do those 1-4 deploys, and then sort of the clashing of styles when, hey, they've got a split-pushing threat? Who actually goes to deal with that? Because, we didn't actually get ahead as we would have imagined to. So it's nice to see a refreshing look here from Ion to say, look, that last series, yes, it was many, many moons ago, but we don't want to be humbled in just over 40 minutes, because at best of 2, it was a clean 2-0 back then. And I'm sure Antic are gunning for that one as well. Obviously, Zoran is already mentioning that this is a great chance for him to get some on-stage experience. I'm sure, more so than anybody, it's a great chance for both Destiny and Raze to figure out how they want to play those lanes. And the form they're in right now, we're always going to refer back to that game last night with the 18 kills on the Ezreal, but for Raze to start to get a little bit pushed in his champion department too, that's going to be the big kicker, I reckon.
Yeah, and this is why I really enjoy the interview scheme, because I like to... A lot of my questions are aimed at what the player is thinking about, their practice or the drafts or particular reason why they lost the game, and I like to get a bit of insight into what they think. And, from those interviews that I gathered, there was a lot of confidence wanted to be gathered from both teams. We heard Joby talk about the fact that, AD carry shouldn't be in mid lane, right? And he's going to make sure that Raze understands that and goes back to his role. And then Zoranis is focusing very heavily on, making sure that their roster has this clean performance and they do have that confidence going into that potential matchup against either Bliss or, Ground Zero coming up in that lower bracket final. So very, very nice to hear that, these players are being forthright and we get to understand their thought processes.
But obviously you can speak from your own experience, right? Once upon a time being on Peace, having run the entire lower bracket, only just scraping in to make that playoff spot, right? But then defeating all the teams to end up going overseas. It sort of could be a repeat of that for Antic here too, where split 1, nobody expected it. They thought like they were going to be the third wheel of the league, if you will, right? With Bliss and Ground Zero, the very heavy favorites. But coming into this one, and they're going to say, look, we can just run it back again. Great experience for us. And I think it's going to be the culmination of an entire year's work for Ion. Always been coined this Dark Horse team, have made a fantastic splash coming into this league, already making playoffs in their very first split. To do it again in Split 2, already an improvement over what they did in Split 1, and it does certainly bode well for not only the organization, but a great opportunity for players that want to make it pro to look towards that team as a potential stepping stone. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a really nice thing to have a successful first year as a player, and orgs especially, being able to put yourself in a position where you can grow from that, because I think that a lot of new players as well, when they look at these orgs, they really want to be on the top teams. Sometimes you do forego like the the team that pays the most money just because you want to be on a respected org. That's why we've always seen like, oh, everyone wants to be on TSM, everyone wants to be on CLG back in the day, because they are the cool orgs, they are the popular orgs, even though they might not have the best rosters at sometimes. It's always about feeling the best as a player, and you know that's why you're going to end up playing your best games.
Well, a quick update from our end. The lobby did crash, hence why we're on a bit of a podcast at this stage, just waiting for that lobby to come back up and available. But an interesting stat we've already gathered from these initial few days of the playoffs is that these 3 champions in particular have had that 100% presence. That's mean they've always been picked or banned. Ezreal first picked on this occasion here by Antic. They themselves banning away the Leona. Iron then denying it that Zyra. And I think it's going to be a very common trend as we continue on, right? These are just so strong in the fold of things right now. And there he is! Destiny, after that performance last night, actually finds himself with the most kills in the league, sitting at 34. Not to be outdone, though, by Jovi, sitting just behind him at 31. But he does have him pinched in another department there, Tally. Jovi has the most solo kills, 7. And the second would be Raze at 4. So that mid lane really is going to be explosive.
Yeah, and I think it goes to show, you know, how much pressure Jovi is having in these games by the fact he's only 3 kills behind Destiny when Destiny dropped an 18-kill game, right?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, that's almost like, that's over half the total kills he has from one game alone, and he's played, you know, I think 4 games at this point. So, and then we also get to see, I think the assist tells a really good story about these teams. You know, it's not in the same role, it's the jungle and then the support. So what this means to me is that Antic generates a lot of their pressure from Dracu, and I always mentioned in their keys to victory about freeing up this player and making sure he can move around the map. And you know, with that Ezreal on the ball lane, they do have that. They do have that strong level 1. They are able to gather priority in the early game, and if he wants to go for that level 3 roam onto the mid lane, he absolutely can. Whereas, you know, you look at the other side, look at Coley, he is that player leading right now in the assists because he just finds so many gank scenarios. He's always looking for trades. He's always looking for these proactive plays, and he isn't really... Oh, he did play the Sejuani, so it's really nice to see that he isn't maybe falling for the trap of just looking in the mages every time, and he is just, you know, deciding to play what he thinks is strong for his team.
Yeah, a bit of a mixed profile if you look at his last 8 games. 4 carries, 4 AP champions, 4 that would fit the bill ever, you know, elsewhere, be it AD or, you know, tanks. Well, this is interesting. I thought for a second we had a Lux locked in as we came back and I'm thinking, in what world is Lux the go-to? It's going to be switched around, and we'll see if that is a confirmation in just a second. But the Alistair makes a lot of sense. Dracu, when his premier supports have been removed, that has been his go-to next.
Ooh.
And this could be exciting. We've been asking, when do the enchanters come back? Surely it's not just tank supports all day long. Surely there's a world in which you could punish. With the Twisted Fate to counter the Cassante, the Soraka could be a really interesting plot.
This is a 5th pick to, you know, do all 5th picks, Skimmy, because there's so many different angles that this Soraka is good into the enemy comp. One, it's a really good laner into Alistair. Alistair's a weak laner in the early game. Soraka is actually quite a strong laner if you constantly land these Qs and harass, able to get that push in the 2v2, and you do not have the kill pressure onto this Varus. With, you know, an Ezreal Alistair, you know, there's not a lot of kill pressure. They do not do a lot of damage compared to something like a Kai'Sa or the, you know, the Xayah who can line up those feathers. So, going to be able to get through this lane pretty comfortably. And also, this champion, as soon as you see that Requiem go out, you just match it with your own ult, and all of a sudden you just reduce all that damage that's being output. You can sustain throughout all these team fights because, you know, there is no stick from the enemy team. It's just poke. It's going to be a gold card. They're going to poke. They're going to heal back up and come forward again. And I think that Soraka, not a bad abuser of Warmogs as well. If Hexflash does want to go for that item, I think it's quite a hard one to build though, because you do want to get those supportive items. You do want to get stuff like the Moonstone. You want to get those cheap healing items on the support. But maybe he gets monster fed on the champion and he can build that item, Skimmy.
Well, I was just going to say, it's almost like they've heard our cries of like, you know, you're versing a Carthus, where's the locket? He says, you know what, I'll do you one better. Forget the locket, just have a wish. Counter ult for ult, 2 beams in the sky, coming down at the same time, saying that, not today. And this is going to be cool, because the last time we did see this champion, it was played by Chirp in the mid lane, of all things. That happened all the way back in Split 1, so not too far ago. If you date your mind back to that, before then, played in the supportive role. That was 2 years ago by Guncrab. So it's been a hot minute since we've last seen this Enchanter come into the fold of things, but I think you've hit the nail on the head, right? Varus, incredibly strong in those early initial levels. Soraka, so much poke with that Star Shard. Going to be really annoying and going to definitely give an invitation for Dracu to say, yeah, I don't want to do anything in this lane, I'm leaving ASAP.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that when we look at both these comps, Antic's comp really leaves no room for error. It's going to be a lot about, they need to win their lanes. They need to make sure that they, especially the Twisted Fate, he needs to be strong, he needs to be able to deal with the silent it was happened. The one advantage they do have is the, you know, the Twisted Fate ult, the Destiny, to make sure he can roam and impact these skirmishes, because, you know, when I look at the Ion side right now, if Styx doesn't get caught out here from the invade, it is a very easy comp to play. It is a very easy one to, you know, execute. You throw out the ult, you CC someone, you hit the front line. That's all you do. You just play front to back over and over again, and they will win that case because they do have the Soraka, they do have the double tanks.
There's so much range, so much tankiness for the Soraka to get multiple cycles off that corner as well. Gonna be the Summoner Heal coming out as the option, so a full ambulance Soraka for sure. No exhaust on either end to deny some of these hyper carries, but 87% of you believing that Antic should take out the W here, and I'd say that's a fair estimate so far into this one, based on the last 2-0, based on that last series. And from really what we've seen so far in the playoffs.
Mission Impossible Coley here ran into the jungle, is hiding in the wolf pit. Is he going to steal away this camp with Smite and try to contest Borra on the blue buff, or is he just going to run away the moment he steals this camp? I'm not sure how fast he clears this one, or if they even know that they left their bot side, Skimmy. This is a very interesting start from both sides.
Yeah, Tom Cruise does look a little bit different these days, hiding out in the enemy bush, just waiting to see what he can do, saying, hello, I've taken your wolf camp, you smited away your blue buff, you know what? Mission failed, but that's all right.
You got a camp. You know, it's still a win in the end, right? He's going to walk away. All of a sudden, if Foreigner doesn't want to invade, re-invade that bot side because he doesn't have priority on the bot side of the map, he doesn't really get anything out of that, right? So that's the level 4 going to be denied to Foreigner, which is, not very nice as these mages. It's really important to get that, gold base that you really want. You want to get that the 1,000 gold base, get towards your item, but this time, denying that camp will mean a little bit of a tempo denial in the early game for Foreigner.
Yeah, it certainly will do. Let's see if it actually adds up to anything of real substance, because as to be expected, it will be Zornish that pushes out the wave of the Cassante. A nice little counter in that isolated 1v1. We talked at great lengths already, just how strong this Ion 2v2 should be on top of that. And the fact that Jovi, any given opportunity, he's going to really make sure that Raze is not having a fun time.
Yeah, and also something to note, when this level 3 does come through from the bot side, there is a lot of gank threat onto the Soraka, right? So Hexflash needs to respect the potential combo if they do not know where Foreigner is, because there is that kill threat. And if Colleague's not in the back pocket, expect some action happening on the bot side, because I really doubt they're going to play this 2v2 on the bot side as an extended lane. They really didn't want to deal with what's going to happen in this lane. But also something to note is that Styx did go for the comment, so this could just be the laning rune, Skibby, because I'm not really sure if Lethality Virus is viable anymore. I haven't seen it being played besides the on-hit variation. So I think that the Lethality build is nice to have into that team, but maybe it's just not the play anymore.
We'll have to wait and see as the game does materialize itself, as we do have this early game under wraps. Let's check in with Katsuri from the side of Direwolves to get his thoughts on what this matchup should entail. Believes it should go all the distance, all 3 games, with Antic still being the winners. So just a better team overall, very much stronger individually. But like a lot of people have echoed, a lot of the expert opinions has all been around what can Jovi get accomplished. So that really is what we're going to be keeping our eyes on, as bot lane is where we're at right now. Destiny copying a lot of aggression in retaliation, and will find himself down to 50%.
And that's the nice thing about Barrier, right? This is such a low cooldown rune, so you can use that one to trade with. We see Destiny just blocking out the WQ damage, where that's a lot of Varus' damage in the game, right? So being able to deny that one and stay in lane, stay on a healthy amount of HP is very nice. But I also thought what Coley did was surprising. He decided to go to his bot side and clear that when it was protected from that mid bot side priority, and almost lost his top side because of that one. So very nice that he was able to get that red in time before Foreigner walked in and stole that one, but is going to end up losing his camp. But he is walking on that bot side, and this could be a potential gank.
He's going to see what he can find as a result. He's going to realize that, look, it's not theirs. The ward does reveal that, so questions himself, well, where do I go now? Because there are literally no camps on the bottom half of this map. Is it a gank angle, or is it simply a case of resetting? Gets baited a few times, cancels that recall once, cancels it the second time, is now getting pinged. Just come mid, both mids, they just stand and deliver. A battle of whose attack speed is faster, and Raze wins by just a smidge.
And he looks very happy with that one. Was surprised they decided to jump in, but that's the power of the Corki E-change, right? So a lot of the armor shred is it happens quickly now. It doesn't happen over time. You get that. It happens, I think, in the, I would say, straight away, 2 seconds rather than 4 seconds. So that's the nice thing about Corki. His orders are doing more damage in those trades, and the explosive shot doesn't do enough damage on the end there. We do see Coley trying to steal away this camp. Gonna, recognize this Foreigner did start top side from where he did invade, so can steal away his respawn on the bot side. Just wants to create some volatility for this Karthus path and make sure that, if he isn't on top of the ball, his level 6 is being delayed.
But look how rough this is for Doraemon, right? We've seen this so many times during the regular split, where Izominus, as one of the most keen to lock this matchup in, has just proven time and time again, if you go for the blind Cassante, you're not going to get away with it as easily as you did in the past. Double the CS at this stage. at a very crippled HP bar, already forcing out 6 minutes into the game, a TP back to lane. I want to talk about Skinergy. Look, we always talk about the Corki, and we say, what is your opinion on that one there, Tally? But on this occasion, let's look at the bot lane. Whilst their skins might not match, they're both wearing hats.
Oh, true. That's a very nice thing. Skinergy outside of the game with the hat matching. I didn't even notice that one, so it was a good call out. But we just see Raze is using the Corki. And I know, I've had this conversation with him, and he agreed with me. He agreed with me, so I don't know.
He's doing it to spite you now,
Yeah,
surely.
He's doing 100% to do that, Skimmy, you're right. We're gonna have words. We have words after this series. But also, something to note is that we do see Styx going for the lethality virus. So we finally get to see what this champ looks like after the change. You know, can it still do that damage? It is gonna still, you know, have that extra ability haste for the change of corruption to be on a lower cooldown, which is probably the, you know, the main look for this. But you know, maybe this damage doesn't stick. You know, maybe, you know, he does land that ult and he all of a sudden you can't one-shot these squishy champions. And after that point, you know, he's not really doing any damage, not having a lot of threat onto champions like the Corki, who does have the Ninja Tabbies already at this point in the game, which really swings this mid lane matchup.
I guess it really does put you on a bigger timer than you would have had beforehand, right? We had a little bit of luxury of nobody having enough armor to mitigate all that lethality. Nowadays, it would seem as if, well, if you haven't snowballed, then you really are in trouble. And even more of a gamble as to making sure that the Soraka pairing finds some success in this early 2v2. Draco just biding his time, finds an opportunity to go for the headbutt pole bunt to Hex Flash, and that really is it, right? So frustrating for him. I'm sure more than anything it's a case of let me get to level 6, luxury item be at my tier 2 boots, and then I'm on the roam, and then I'm ganking elsewhere.
Yeah, uncontested Grub's going with the Foreigner, so he is going to find that level 6 pretty early. Is just sitting on that top side of the map right now. They are playing that split map, but there is no gank pressure for Ion onto this Ezreal Alistair. They do not have any CC minus the Varus ult, but it's quite a hard one to land onto an Arcane Shift Ezreal. Have to see. Does land, Skimmy.
Oh, yes it does. Destiny's in troubles, burnt the Arcane Shift, burnt the Flash, burnt the barrier, burnt everything, and he will not survive. Styx needs a single auto, and that's what he'll find. Draku, forget about it. We only wanted you carry. And now that is a very, very hindered Ezreal.
Yeah, just a really nice silence coming out of Hex Flash means that that last second he could not use the Arcane Shift, so he does throw that one out, but it's not in time. But another jump forward mid. A bit of a chunk, Skimmy. And even though that we do see Raze with the Ninja Tabbies, Jovi is still doing really good in the 1v1. You know, look at the inventories right now. There's a huge gold differential when it comes to the combat power in the mid lane, but Tristana's just doing so well in these trades.
Certainly is, yeah, really keeping that in their favor. And I mean, it's just classic Jovi, isn't it? Always going to be aggressive, doesn't really matter what the matchup is looking like. Is he going to change his playstyle? And I think this is his luxury, knowing that it's a passive affair because it is a Carfish jungle. Isn't going to gank me. Who else is going to look to try and gank me? Well, definitely not the Twisted Fate until he's had an opportunity to shop up and find a little bit of power, and certainly not that of the Alistair until level 6 is there. But those are those breakpoints we've hit now, so whilst he has the luxury, he's going to continue to push in this wave and actually net himself one turret plate.
Yeah, easy as that. Constantly have priority in the bot lane is so important. Destiny has some free time, so he's roaming towards the mid lane. Gonna do a little bit of a chunk onto Jovi here.
Yeah, really nice damage though, but it's actually just straight away received and, you know, triaged by Hex Flash. Gives him a cheeky little heal, says I'm on my way now. And business as usual.
It's just nice that they went for that roam because now Raze can base. If this is the cannon wave coming out, so he does have that extra bit of time to get back to mid wave before he misses the minions, because I expect Jovi to stay here, crash this wave as fast as possible, and you know, deny as much CS as he can. But this is not going to be the cannon wave, so this one is going to crash very fast, Kimmy, and we do see Raze running back to mid lane. Does have the T2 boots though, so he does get back to lane, you know, faster than usual. So it's going to be just the usual, you know, 1 to 2 minions that he will miss in experience, and that's why you see so many players basing on that wave before the cannon wave, because the tower will focus that cannon minion and it takes so long to die, so you do end up, you know, not missing any experience if you do base on those timers.
Yeah, it's nicely timed. This does give you that leeway to not feel as if you're missing out on too much, not having to take those risky trades where you've got little to no HP and you're like, but I really need this to get that next item spike. He's going to be held then by Raze. Hexflash still on the rotation, holding mid for the meantime, and there to protect Coley as well on his own side of the jungle as Foreigner threatens from the river. You wouldn't really expect too much to come off this one. Foreigner has already gone towards those 3 grubs and claimed that for their side. Iron having gone for the very first Drake. So once again, another clear example of teams playing to opposite ends. But I think on this occasion it would make sense, right? Obviously, Antic's topside is winning very heavily. As for Iron, you would say that they've got the edge in the bot lane so far.
The lane swap is coming out for Iron, so they do want to fight this one. This is the ult coming out. There's no TP for Doraemon right now, but there is the Destiny Skimmy.
There is the Destiny, a Destiny upon Destiny. So how much of a tongue twister is that going to be there? Hexflash is in trouble. Pops literally every heal he can muster, but it's just simply not enough, Tally. Out comes the Requiem. No wish to save you. Styx stands because he knows he's a sitting duck and that he is dead. And then Coley on the tail end thinks, can I get away? Dracu says maybe not. And it's a 3-man collapse, but there's no wave.
Dracu doesn't have the ult here, so this might be a difficult dive, especially with the ambulance coming out of base in Hexflash. They're going to respect that one, not go for it. Foreigner picks up the 6 grubs for his team, though, and we look at the comp of the Corki on the side lane, the Twisted Fate on the side lane, and what they can do to these towers if left alone, especially Zornis in this matchup against the K'Sante. But going back in the replay, it's so important to note here that Jovi's on the mid wave. He's not grouped. We see that there is no TP for the K'Sante yet. It's not a cooldown. We see all the members of Antic grouped up, True Shot Barrage coming out of base, and they are ready to fight this one. They do know the objective that they want to go for, and they were here on time, whereas Ion wanted to contest it as well, but they were just a bit slow on the movement.
Yeah, a little bit staggered, a little bit all over the show, and unfortunately fell into the trap that Antic had put together, saying we'll rotate first, we'll group up better, and we'll guarantee that we get all 6 of those objectives in our back pocket. And that's going to be so frustrating to deal with, because obviously in isolation, double AD carry feels fantastic, but Zoranus being as annoying as he has been so far in these side lanes, those towers are always going to be under threat, and Doraemon's going to be having his work cut out for him trying to match that with a TP2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we might see, Raze continue to match Doraemon on the side lane just because that allows him, the easy matchup, and he is able to scale in that 1v1, and they're going to constantly put Zoranus into Zovi because you can't really do anything to Twisted Fate, right? He's just going to jump in, a couple gold cards to the head and walk away. And as the time does go on, one of the really annoying things about the AD Twisted Fate is the fact you're kind of forced to build Merc Res against this champion. Even though he is auto attack based, he is going to be doing so much AD damage. If you do go for those tabbies, you're just locked up in that CC chain for so long with the gold cards, and you kind of die in that one rotation of the stun. So it's just really annoying to verse, and the fact you have to build Merc Res against AD carry is a very hard thing to deal with.
Doesn't feel nice, does it, when you got 3 AD carries to go into and you're thinking, why have I found myself in this situation? Look, you know what? I said I wanted Zeri top lane. I guess Twisted Fate is that half-baked answer as a consolation prize, right? But it's going to be very annoying because you can see that Iron grouped up as many members for to try and take that Drake. They just simply lost the tower in the top lane as a result, and that's going to only get harder and harder to contend with as this game does go on, because look how much gold he already has.
Yeah.
Nobody is close.
Yeah, and that's really the nice thing about Twisted Fate is he does get a lot of gold from his passive. So you time that with the fact that he is getting the counter pick, he is getting the place, he does have 6 grubs. He does get a lot of gold from his passive, so he's just making money. This is just the Bitcoin top laner, right? He's generating all this extra gold, and I think that Antic have done enough to circumnavigate this team comp differential we're going to see. And I think the main power spike for this team of Antic is the rapid fire cannon coming out of Zoranus, and when that one does come online, we're going to see him probably group up a lot more than he is and really start to throw these gold cards at members like Styx and Hexflash who do not have any cleanses right now. They don't have a way to deal with the CC and the potential follow-up coming out of Antic because they have a lot of damage, but their only setup is going to be Zoranus.
Yeah, it's going to be terrifying, right? Rapid fire cannon, then you got the double Triforce to come out as well from both Raze and Destiny, and at that point you're thinking, yeah, we're fighting all day, every day. Probably the biggest winner would be Foreigner, right? Nice, cruisy, stable early game, 1-0-1, already on that first completed item, double buff as it stands, and he just gets to continue to farm up a storm on Vision and says, who dares contest me?
This is like, Foreigner isn't even playing League of Legends, right? He's playing an MMORPG. He's just clearing the jungle, he's running up to camps, fighting the monsters, dodging the abilities. He's not even playing League at this point, but
he's got a full quest log. He's ready to hand it all in for the XP.
Does have a full quest log, but we are seeing Ion group up as 5, wanting to contest this Herald, and we talk about how this team prioritizes objectives so much more than Antic, so all members strong here. Might even see Antic just, be like, alright, you guys can have this objective, we don't really care, but they are grouping up and Jovi is jumping in.
Yeah, Jovi wants to really make sure that Zoranus is zoned away, commits the flash to follow. Really well done. That is solo kill number 8 for the star of playoffs so far. Jovi, whilst that laning phase 1v1 into Raze was very, very close, he says we can't continue to bleed. We need to make sure that the snowball is tamed for the meantime.
This will be an even trade for both sides, just based on Jovi getting that kill in the top lane. They get the objective, they trade out of towers. Jovi is the winner here, right? He does get the extra 300 gold and experience for himself, and this is so important that Ion do pick up that winning side lane in the Tristana, because as long as they win the side lanes, I'm not too worried about Ion, really struggling in the team fight department with the comp they have prepared, even though we're still not too sure about this lethality virus and what he's really going to do. They have a lot of CC, and we all know that the Tristana is enough damage to really deal with the enemy team.
I think the concern above all else is the fact that if Iron aren't always attending to these lanes, look what they can do. Raze can just chip away at this tower, do far more than what Iron can do in retaliation, and it's just more and more map control being afforded to them. Rapid fire cannon is already there. That's the third tower in their possession. 3 kills so far. Not the bloodiest affair. Very much more meticulous in its nature as to rotating at the right time and getting the objectives to give yourself that better late game fighting avenue. But Jovi, always keen, doesn't care where you are, doesn't have vision. No vision, and he's going in.
Poor Doraemon, you know, he just walks the ball in, he catches some farm, but Joey's like, no, this is my lane now. You base and go top. I am going towards the objective all the time. But I think that is the correct place, Gimme. I think having your strongest member on the objective is very important. But we look at Ion right now on the map. They're all on the top side. We see the TP coming out from Raze on the bot side. We see the bot lane of, you know, Antic, who got the priority on the mid lane, walking down already, and Jovi is caught out on a 1v4.
Jovi's in trouble. That you are flanked from Draku. Where you're going, you can be as aggressive as you like, but eventually it will come crumbling down. You will be taken and forced to go back to base for 30 whole seconds. And I was going to say, I mean, this is a pretty perfect time for both teams to contest before things get a little bit too out of control, because everybody, bar the supports, have that first item done.
Yeah, and I'm going to play devil's advocate there, Skimmy. I don't think Jovi did anything wrong. I think that was the correct play for himself. The Ion group of 3, you know, went to the top side and they were farming chickens as 3 members, where they, you know, they already knew where all the Antic members were, and they could have got priority on the bot side or even some vision for Jovi, who had priority down there. But the ult is coming out, Skimmy.
Yeah, Chain of Corruptions onto Foreigner, instant flash away. A lot of burst coming out from Styx as to be expected. Bramble Smash, flash engaged by Coley, looking to try and take down Zorinus, but he's being a menace. The Equinox silence, not enough, because he can just simply sprint away from it. In goes Doraemon, knocked away for the meantime. Jovi TPing in, fresh off that reset. And they say, well, how do we get in? Because we're just allowing Zorinus to space glide on us and get gold card off the gold card.
Yeah, and Antic are just playing their range. We see Ion going on to split members, Coley flashing onto, you know, the Twisted Bait there when no one can really follow up, but the Rift Herald team, we talked about this one before.
Oh no, Coley, what is that? What is that? He's headbutted himself into the river, popped out, says, well, there you go, have a kill for Destiny. He'll like that one too to his name. Requiem to pop their HP bars low. Doraemon to TP back in again to that mid lane as they gear up to contest or at least defend in a 4v5.
Yeah, and this seems to be the story of the, I think the top teams in the LCO right now really like to do this thing, Skimmy. They like to give the first 2 dragons, prioritize grubs, prioritize experience in gold, work up to the 3rd one and just out-muscle them or out-wallet them, right? They just have more items, they're just a bit stronger when it comes to this extra team fight on the 3rd dragon. And doesn't matter if you're going to stack dragons when all of a sudden they're going to reverse stack all these dragons, and we know how damaging and how much movement around the map you can garner with all these air dragons you do get stacked up. And I think that's especially important for this team comp that Antic has. They are so squishy, they need the extra movement speed, they need the tempo to get around the map, they need to get Draco in those flank positions, they need to make sure that Zorinus is grouped up as much as possible, and that extra movement speed is so helpful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be bonkers. I mean, you saw just how much of a range discrepancy was demonstrated in that last fight. You give them a little bit of extra movement speed on top of that, and it simply won't feel fair. But it is quite true in that regard, right? The better teams have just been saying, you know what, forget about those dragons. It doesn't matter. If we get the gold from doing better lane deployments, better pushes, better situations for the first 15, the grubs give us the gold to then say that you can't get that 3rd dragon. Once again, Jovi in the bot lane, looking to get caught out of position. He initially jumps to safety, but only into the destiny of Zorinus, with Destiny to help out as well, who does end up picking up the kill.
Destiny on top of Destiny again, but I think we're just seeing the same story, a huge disconnect between all the members and Jovi of Ion. Jovi's just always trying to pressure on the side, but no one is really covering and no one's really with them. And either, you know, the team needs to make sure that, hey Jovi, you need to like back off. We do not have control mid lane right now, or Jovi needs to tell his team, guys, like, I want to play bot side, make sure you're in my pocket. They just need to get back on the same page. And that was the same thing we saw in last team fight, right? They just were not on the same page when it came to those fights. And if this continues, Timmy, it's going to be a very easy game for Antic.
Well, it really will be, because they're going to shut down all their early game threats, and then the late game really won't come to fruition, right? It's going to be a pretty rough one for them to muscle their way back in, because we're fast approaching the 20-minute mark, and it's already Antic leading with 6,000 gold.
Yeah, and this has been a very nice time for Raze, I will say that. There's been a lot of pressure onto Jovi, but all of a sudden, you know, Raze has just been farming up a storm. He's chovying against Jovi in the mid lane right now, so he has items. He is building towards his 3rd item. You know, he does have those 10 jack stacks, I believe, so has that extra bit of damage from the rune. He is absolutely online on this Corki right now.
Yeah, it'd be a happy time to really beat any of these carries. Even Draco, I'm sure, because he just gets to run around the map, get told, look, you know, these guys are out of position. There's no pressure. There's no defense. It's easy access into that bot lane time and time again. He got so much vision control around it as well to allow that to work in their favor. But Baron, it's on the cards now, 20 minutes into the game. No doubt that's what Iron will be looking to try and prevent as well as protect. As everybody converges on the mid lane, there is the Nature's Grasp to lock in place a couple of members, but Draco just hits them with the Pulverize, says, no, you're not going in for that fight. Redemption dropped as the first item rushed here by Hexflash, just to keep the team topped up and healthy.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Iron were looking for there. It doesn't really seem like they're planning for anything, They're just grouping up and just spontaneous engages. We see that how easy it was for Draco to just absorb that one, pop the Unbreakable Will, and walk that one off. And then, we do see Styx land the ult onto Foreigner, but the arrow didn't do any damage. Didn't even half health them. So, I think this might be what we're going to see from this Varus. Maybe he felt he was forced to go into this build because, the enemy comp is so squishy, they do outrange him, and he believes he can't auto-attack the enemy comp. But it just looks too weak, Skimmy.
Yeah, it's not able to answer back with the same amount of power that this core here Ezreal can, right? I mean, they're mirrored, very close to being mirrored, with Raze only a few stacks away from getting that tier to 360. But those two in particular, 2-item spike through, just out of control. Same could be said for Foreigner with the Leandries and the Blackfire Torch. And we already discussed just how strong Zoranus is individually. So all 4 carries, night and day in comparison to Ion, who are hoping they can get anything inside their jungle, but getting pushed further and further back.
Yeah, and with these items being completed, 2 items on almost every single member of Antic, look how confident they feel to just walk in and muscle Iron out of their own jungle. Collie being denied his camps, Foreigner getting even more golden experience is so good for the side of Antic, especially when Zoranus, can get priority on that side lane against that Tristana, who's the only saving grace when it comes to this Iron comp right now, who is strong on the map. If he is able to get priority and group up, or if he is looking for that 1v1, as do see Jovi jumping on the side lane, I believe.
He's jumping into the side lane, and he is committing. He gets the kill again, once more, onto Zoranus. Another solo kill. You certainly love to see it. A little bit of chance for him to showcase why he is so prevalent individually. There is the full engagement by Coley with the flash pounce on towards Raze. But it is his demise. He does fall on down. Fronner says, you know what, I can go to the afterlife and still be impactful. Jovi teeping in topside, drops the Requiem. Bunny Hop resets with these rocket jumps, looking at Draco and says, you've got the ultimate. Do you want to pop it? Yes, you will. Pulverize doesn't deny it. Triple kill now for Styx. The Varus is coming online and nearly, and they do get it in the end.
A little mini red carpet going out the end, Skimmy, but what a play from Jovi. Finds that solo kill on the side lane. They go for the hard engage. Coley instantly dies. We see how squishy he is. He is playing that front line, but all he is the ult. He falls down instantly, but does get that CC up onto Foreigner. Styx landing all these executes onto the enemy team, but there is damage going on to this Baron, but it's dying very slow, and going to see if Zoranus does pop in, so he's going to come on the top side. Look at the map, look who's going to make it to this Baron first. We are seeing pretty even base timing or exits from each team right now, Skimmy, and this is going to come down to a flip. There will be no smite secure here.
This would be huge for Iron to get themselves back into the game. That last team fight was massive in isolation. Let's see what they can do then. 5k still is the difference between these two teams. Baron down to 3,500, make it closer to smite range now. Hexflash to focus, remove the Soraka. That's what Zoranus has done. Across the wall goes Dorimon, knocked away by Draku. The Baron down to 1,300. Who gets the smite? Foreigner's there, but taken by Cole Lee before he dies. Clutch or kick the squishy Maokai, gets it done again. But it will be a double found by Zoranus, and it will be a Baron removed off multiple.
There's still one nice thing about the Maokai, Skimmy, is this champ is extremely hard to outsmite. I would say if there was a tier list in League about the best smiting junglers, it goes Nunu, and then it goes Maokai. That Q smite, that percent health damage you do is so much damage, but let me hold my point, Dracu's going in.
Draco is going in once again. Hexflash to start things off, and he falls very, very low. No ultimate, and incredibly squishy as well. Dorimon going all out, sniping apart Raze. And Ion, in this later half of this game, are starting to find some momentum.
Yeah, and we had a very quiet game, right? There wasn't a lot of action happening. We were seeing some team fights in the early game, but it was just, oh, you can have that objective, you can have that objective. 1 or 2 kills going down, but now we're finally getting into these full-on team fight and the action happening. And a lot of the items are starting to come forward for the Ion carries. You do see Jovi going for that Bloodthirst as third because there are so many squishy members of the enemy team, and you get to see how one-sided these 1v1s are when he catches people off guard. And Zoranus can't even do anything when he doesn't have that gold card prepared in advance.
Damage.
They do, throw out that ult.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, they do throw out the ult. They do, find this really nice engagement. Something to note is like how fast they do die going in there. The only real tank they have is Dorimon, who does such a good job to get Destiny back into the team, blow that flash, and find that reset for Jovi. Has that red buff, is able to keep going forward, but also got to note, this flash here with the phosphorus bomb to, avoid that damage and make sure he doesn't fall down to buy time for Hexflash to get here was the reason they, won this fight and got the Baron.
It's a difference maker. And yeah, all I was going to say is it's kind of comical that it's like, into the 1v1 against Zoranus, it's like, yeah, you can hit me with the gold card. If I just rocket jump and jump on your head as I get stunned, doesn't really matter. You're still going to die anyway. does not care. Bloodthirster picked up though, so it's going to really help him out, especially with the Kraken as well as that Flicker Blade, making sure that he can be that much of a menace. And a much-needed Warmog's now picked up by Calder to try and make him just a little bit tankier.
This is a very squishy Maokai, regardless of what's going to happen. He isn't going to get, as much gold as we are seeing going into the pockets of Foreigner. All he's going to do, he's going to throw out that ult. He's going to hopefully CC up, one of the carries on the enemy team, because I don't feel like Draku's confident enough to block all of the, all those, Brambles are used to coming out for the entire team. It's just a bit too wide to deal with. But if he does, very good for him. But if they do land, then all you have to do is find one of these follow-up spells in the Varus ult or the Cassante Kidnap and take that member out.
But I've done it before. Let's see if they can do it again. They've done a phenomenal job, have Ion, keeping this gold lead still at only touching distance with 5,000. That Baron buff still available on Doraemon, about to expire in just 20 seconds. But Antic are starting to really showcase their experience, their veterancy in terms of playing these lanes, utilizing those grubs once again, and forcing Iron to stay back, keep their difference, and make sure that they can't really wrangle back control.
Yeah, and I think that the main difference you are seeing right now is Antic, they just look much more comfortable playing their side lanes, right? Even though you wouldn't really consider them stronger on the side lanes right now, I think that both the 1v1s would go in favor of the solo laners of Ion. They are finding just, better map movement, and the priority off mid lane is probably one of the major things. I think the Ezreal, while he is even with the items in Varus' inventory, he's just so much stronger and so much better at getting mid priority because there is no threat onto this member.
He's got the Sorelda's Grudge. I'm sure Styx somewhere is thinking, come on, mate, that's not the item for. We talked about it in these interviews with Tally. You must go Blade of the Rune King. But either way, certainly is going to be a nice little addition. Another one to be worth mentioning is that Doraemon's also picked up the Locket, right? So, what a much more supportive style of Cassante.
They hate Foreign in this game, Simi. That's what I'm going to say. They pick Karthus and they've got Locket. They really do not like Karthus at all.
It's a bad time to be Foreigner. Or maybe it's not, because look how far ahead he is. He's keeping up pace with these solo laners. That's the same amount of farm as Jody at this stage. That goes to Destiny, Requiem, everything dropped, and that Styx. Well, you blink and you missed it. He was gone before you even had a chance to hit that flash. It wasn't called out anyway. Destiny getting keen as he just snipes apart Hex Flash. In jumps Doraemon, pops the Locket, tries to do what he can, but he's just not tanky enough. And the rampage of this war machine that is Antic is walk forward, hit a gold card, hit a pulverize, hit anything, and you die when in a global cooldown.
It's so hard to be on top of the ball all the time, Skinny, but when the ball does drop, Styx on that mid wave, contesting mid priority when there's no priority on that bot side of the map. Without his team means he falls down, and after that point, it's all lights out for his team because he is, one of those major disruption havers in these team fights. And one of the major reasons that they're able to team fight so easily on the Ion side is when he is alive. But the moment he falls down, all of a sudden, all they have to worry about is the Tristana, and they can just completely run at the enemy team and forego any threat. But this is a major mistake by Styx to walk up here like this when he's so split from his team.
You see, initially it's just a case of breaking the spell shield with a raise, and it's so easy, very easy pickings for them to then pounce upon it afterwards. And Destiny, with pretty much reckless abandon, flashing in the face of a tank and saying, yeah, your support shouldn't be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Really easy pick up by him. The Hex Flash does hold his own Summoner Style Flash there, so has that one for the next fight, right? There is still, that fighting distance for Ion to get back in this game, right? It's not over whatsoever. I think that with the these two objectives coming up right now, not going to be a sole point for either team, but still an objective they do want to take. But the Baron is the big one to me. I think that if Ion is able to secure this one, then they buy themselves that time to scale even more and get to the even bigger power spikes where Azerobi really needs these major items to deal damage to the enemy team. Because if you look at the inventories of the enemy team, we talk about how much money the Twisted Fate can make. We see 4 items being complete on the top side already. The Infinity Edge not usually one to talk about, but maybe this fight is Gimme.
Maybe it certainly is, as Draku looks to try and lead the line so far. Doraemon tries to respond. Joby taking a 1v1 into Destiny and saying, look, I've got these rocket jumps. I've got so much cooldown reduction. You dare not fight me. That's a massive shutdown going into his back pocket. On the flank then is Foreigner, and he gets picked apart. Out goes the Requiem. Draku misses the combo. The Requiem drops them and gets them down low, but Zoradus is in the backline. TP'd in. It's the gold card flashing on forward, removes Styx for 50 seconds, turns his attention onto Coley, gets a double kill. Now wants Doraemon, wants that triple, wants that game-winning play, and he is just spacing things like you would not believe, and that might be the reason he's built that Infinity Edge.
And there it goes, Skimmy. Easy as that. We were talking about, maybe this is going to come down to the Baron, but no, they had a team fight over a cannon minion in the mid wave, and that is going to be the game going towards the side of Antic. So really a high execution comp that they brought out in game 1, but they had so much success that we rarely saw them falter. We rarely saw them get caught out without numbers advantage, and I think this game really came down to the fact Jakku and Destiny on that mid wave, you know, shut down Jovi on the side lane, and there was just a disconnect on the side of Ion. They were not playing together as a team, and you cannot do that against such a good roster like Antic.
You certainly can't, because you will get punished, and that was evidenced on a number of different occasions, right? And Jovi no doubt will be asking for a little bit more attention, a bit more resources going into the next game, because he certainly was at many points in that game their shining beacon of hope. But the Skinergy outside of the game, yes, Destiny's removed the hat now, but that might have been the difference. You look good, you feel good, you just play good. And ultimately, with a triple AD carry comp, they bring it into already a match point. This is our last best of 3 before we enter into best of 5 territory. And Antic will continue their journey right after this.